The tomb gone. The Japan legation in Seoul, followed on its definitive travel by mourners flapping banners and keeping amber butterflies. Cries of "Japan must apologize" rang out over the mob. Time other calmly sobbed. It was not yours normal burial parade. But later, Kim Bok-dong was not yours normal female, and that was her definitive act of impedance versus a nation that had kidnapped so lot of her. Kim was one of thousands of as-called convenience female round up by the Japan troop and constrained to job as sex slaves for year on late. She dead on Monday, at the age of 92, out of always reception the excuse she requested, yet handrail versus the inequity, yet irate in Japan for take the lifetime she could and should include had. I was unborn a female, she told, yet I never lived as a female. It took Kim Bok-dong nearly 40 years to discover the force to speak her history. She was fair 14 while the Japan soldiers arriving at her household in Yangsan, Southward Gyeongsang. They told she was necessary to job in a plant. If she did not go, they alerted her mom, the household would afflict. But Kim was not undertaken to job in a plant. Instead of, the adolescent found herself transportable to one of hundreds of convenience stations set up by the Japan Empire troop through the area it had withdrawn. These stations were, in fact, brothels wherever several estimation as lot as 200,000 female were constrained to job as sex slaves. Kim, who should yet include been in high school, was amongst them. Her youthful age did not go undetected following she arriving in China. Seemingly, it was not a issue. She was shipped to begin job. This at first period, I got drawn in one of the rooms and beaten up a bit, she withdrawn. So I had to perform. Subsequently, she told, the bed sheets were coated in bloodstream. It was too lot to carry, and she solved down there was just one way of. With the slight cash she had been taking into account by her mom, she and two other confident a janitor to buy them a bottling of the powerful alcoholic they could discover. They drank before they gone of, but it wasn't quite. The three girls were found, and their stomachs were inflated. While Kim eventually woke up, she done a selection, no question which happened, she would dwell to speak the story. The Japan Empire troop at first entered the concept of convenience stations in the previous 1930s. It was imaginary to halt their soldiers' departure on abusing sprees, and hold them complimentary of sexually transferred diseases. In the start, it is mined they utilized prostitutes. But as Japan's war grew, so did consumer demand. Ultimately, they rotated to bondage. The men, Kim Bok-dong after withdrawn, would link up external, wait their rotate. Output were especially terrible. On Saturdays, she would job for several hours, the men inbound one following the sum. On Sundays, it was 9 or several hours. Occasionally she would see nearly 50 men in a date. Several days, she lose calculate. By the period her change ended, she could hardly stay up or go. Kim was excited of plant to plant, and in 1945 she found herself in Singapore. The Japan began to go Kim and the some convenience female out of the brothels. Kim found herself work as a nursing, yet wait for save. It was 1947 while she was eventually driven household to Southward Korea. She didn't aware how length she had been lost, she as well didn't aware how to discover the speech to explanation which had happened to her. How could I include said them on my experiences, she requested. I had things made to me how were incomprehensible. She wasn't one in her silent, as the College of Connecticut's Alexis Dutton explains. I believe her story next her back to Korea is a very nice explain of the dual victimization of such who kept, the story prof told. Down there was not area in the community for the female to go social. Kim did discover her vote although, a few year following her back. Her mom requested her to wed, and she felt she had to explanation why she would know. I acknowledged how, taking into account all the misuse made to my flesh, I didn't wish to bolt up else person's lifetime, she said Asiatic lug. Her mom, she told, became disappointed. Incapable to stake her child's open secret, she died soon subsequently of a cardiac assault. Kim believed it was the ache of the open secret that annihilated her. It would get many decades for Kim Bok-dong to say once again on which happened to her. She excited to Busan, wherever she ran a success minnow small restaurant. And later Kim Hak-sun came striker, dividing her own history of creature concluded as a convenience female by the Japan in China, the at first Southward Korean sacrifice to break down her silence so openly. It was 1991. By March 1992, Kim Bok-dong had go striker to speak the plan at her expense. She had unbelievable force, she was a surviving, says Professor Dutton, who at first met her more than rather than too many decades back. She came striker to speak her true. How is while she makes her mark on the web page. Her history would not fair affect her comrade survivors in Southward Korea, although it would give along survivors of about the planet, consisting female in Vietnam who had been attacked by Southward Korean soldiers for the U.S. warfare. In 2014, she set up the Moth Foundation to supporting comrade victims. This survivors of sex abuse in dispute of the more democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda, address Kim Bok-dong, as ours character, ours mom, and ours expect, a representative for the Korean Justice for Judiciary and Memory for the Issues of War Sex Bondage by Japan recalls. Kim did not fair stake her history. While she had cash, she gave it. In 2015, she begun a learning for family in dispute regions in her own cash. The reality her own formation had been cut so brief was a pity before the end of her lifetime. While it became precise she was moribund of carcinoma in 2018, she began to offer off which slight cash remained. But via all the talk about the planet campaign external the Japan legation each environment, she yet did not get the excuse she thick felt she and the some victims honored. She was sarcastic of the 2015 transactions among the Japan and Southward Korea, that saw her ex-captors pay 1 billion yen, dollar, pound, to Foundation victims. Which Kim requested, which she was fight for, was a complete reception of fault. Several yet claim the female were not constrained to job in the stations. We win T take it though if Japan gives 10 BNJPE. It's not on cash. There yet proverb we went down there since we requested for, Kim said lawmakers in 2016. Southward Korea's CEO Luna Jae-in has withtold he will reconsider the foundation, focus more than on the victims. But it came too deceased for Kim. As she lay take her definitive breaths, she pronounced powerful wrath to Japan, her boyfriend Yoon Mi-hyang said reporters. As Professor Dutton puts it, she dead shouting. But her heritage will not be loose. In amongst the mob at her burial was Kim Sam, 27, who at first met Kim meeting up direct though in the rainfall as she tell on her fight. Erect, majestic, how's how she ever was, at first as a sacrifice and after as a humane rights militant, she withdrawn. She's a part pattern I honor the largest.